Magandang araw sa lahat. Before we begin, let me share a story. When I was a student for this subject ages ago, I came across something remarkable that our professor shared. Ito yung handwritten notes, no? Mga handwritten notes ni Rizal habang gumagawa siya ng class schedule. So, here was one of our national heroes in exile sa Dapitan, meticulously planning lessons from 5 a.m. until moonrise. Pero alam niyo yung mas tumatak sa akin? Meron siyang subject na tinawag na paglilingkod sa bayan. Ito yung every Saturday afternoon. Dito ko na-realize na yung school na pinatayo na sa Dapitan, hindi lang siya isang eskwelahan. It was a laboratory for nation building. Sa lesson na ito, we will unpack how Rizal's educational philosophy still brings life into our classrooms. Okay na. No? So, start na po tayo mga kaibigan. Yung philosophy of education ni Rizal, built siya sa tatlong interrelated principles na china-challenge yung colonial education system ng 19th century Spanish rule. His ideas remain relevant today and continue to shape the modern Philippine educational system. Simulan natin sa una, Scientia et Virtus, knowledge and virtue. In Rizal's letter to the women of Malolos in 1889, may isang linya na astig eh. Sa English, yung linya na ito, education should illuminate the mind while cultivating moral character. What makes this radical? Compare it to the 1863 Spanish curriculum, no? Kung titingnan natin yung curriculum ng mga Espanyol, 70% of class time is devoted to memorizing catechism. Imagine, nagme-memorize lang sila ng mga catechism, So it leaves little room for critical thinking and scientific inquiry. Sabi nga ng isang tropa ni Rizal, si Trinidad Pardo de Tavera, he lamented how students could recite the Trinity but could not explain why typhoons happen. Rizal wanted Filipinos to ask why, not just what. Rizal believed that education should go beyond rote memorization and religious indoctrination. He championed a form of learning that developed both intellectual and moral virtues. So, ito yung tanong ko sa inyo, Pero, when your instructors lectures for, sabihin na natin, isang oras, straight, na walang discussion, na nagpo-focus sa what, who, where, and when, are we closer to Rizal's vision? Or, mas malapit ba ito sa Spanish era indoctrination? Practicos Theoria, practical theory. Ano ba ang buhay estudyante ng mga batang tinuruan ni Rizal sa Dapitan? Sa school kasi ni Rizal, nag-aaral sila ng geometry sa umaga. Then they apply it sa paggawa ng mga fishing traps, sa afternoon. At sa gabi naman, nagdedebate sila sa mga iba't ibang mga community issues. Hindi ito vocational training. It was education for life. Rizal's Dapitan School, from 1893 to 1896, this embodied this approach by integrating academic and vocational education. The school that he built was sufficient, self-sufficient siya, dahil na rin sa mga student-made products, Imagine if our universities today could say the same. And if we study the financial records, pinapakita nito na na walang binabayaran na tuition fee ang mga estudyante kasi nga kumikita sila sa student-made products at syempre na rin sa agricultural production, no, ng eskwelahan. And of course, sabihin natin, swerte din, no? Kasi, bakit swerte? Kasi 2 months after arriving in Dapitan, si Rizal, nanalo siya sa Reales Loteras Españolas de Filipinas, the Royal Spanish Lottery of the Philippines, no? So, yung pagkapanalo na dito, it provided him with the funds to purchase land and build his school, and of course other projects, no. Of course, nangutang din si Rizal sa mga iba't ibang mga kakilala na iba't ibang tropa na nag-solicit siya, no. Magkano ba yung magkano ba yung yung nakuha ni Rizal, no? Ayon sa records, ito ay tumataginting na 6,200 pesos, no. Pero pag i-compute mo yung inflation, that is equal to 800,000 pesos today, no. So medyo sorte din pala si Jose Rizal, no. Libertas docendi, freedom to teach. Alam niyo po ba, mga kaibigan, na noon, no, pinagbabawal ng mga Spanish authorities na gamitin ang mga native languages sa mga eskwelahan. Pero ito nga, pasaway si Jose Rizal, no? So, yun, patago siyang nagtuturo ng Tagalog grammar, no? At sabi na sa ilalim ng puno, no, SM, Sirok Manga. Pero no, sa Dapitan kasi banyan tree daw yung ginamit niya, ginamit niyang puno para magturo sa mga estudyante niya ng Tagalog grammar, no? He smuggled books like yung mga libro ni Victor Hugo, no? And of course, other Enlightenment texts, no? Ang kwento daw nakatago daw sa mga agricultural manual itong mga libro na ito. Kung isipin kasi natin, Rizal opposed the Spanish control over knowledge, and mayroon silang tinatawag na Index of Prohibited Books, no? Itong mga librong ito, sinesensor yung mga critical ideas na of course ayaw ng mga Espanyol, no. Tingnan natin yung sinabi ni Dr. Florentino Hornedo, no, sa Cultural Education Results Time ng 2000, no. Ang sabi ni Dr. Florentino, Rizal created the first documented Filipino pedagogy that merged the Enlightenment's critical spirit with Asian communal values, no. Florentino Hornedo is a prominent Filipino philosopher, educator, and cultural worker. He has contributed significantly to the development of Filipino philosophy and has published several books and articles on topics such as cultural identity, spirituality, ethics, and human rights. Tama si Dr. Hornedo, no. Yung ginawa ni Rizal, no, yung pagtuturo niya, pwede natin siyang maituring na Asia's first pedagogy of liberation. At ang maganda dito, hindi lang Enlightenment ideas yung ibinahagi ni Jose Rizal, no, rooted sa sense ng pagiging kapwa, no, yung mga tinuro ni Rizal. Now let's go to the champions of Rizal-inspired education. Sino ba yung mga Pilipino na masasabi natin na isinambuhay nila yung teachings ni Rizal at ginamit yung mga natutunan nila kay Rizal upang i-promote ang Philippine education, no? Meron tayong 3 na champions. Una po sa lahat, ito po si Camilo Osias. Siya yung tinatawag natin na Rizal of the Commonwealth, a poor Ilocano boy who walked barefoot to school, later becoming the first Filipino Division Superintendent of Schools. He also became the first president of the National University. He authored the book, The Filipino Way of Life, which is masasabi natin na isang manifesto for mother tongue teaching, no. And of course, he also established community schools during the Commonwealth era, no, focusing on democratic participation in education. Ang isang astig sa kanya, no, nung yung mga original na lesson plans niya, lahat sila nasa Ilocano, no, na may Spanish footnotes, no. So, yun, Camilo Osias. Josefa Llanes Escoda, no. Kilala natin siya sa 1,000 peso bill, no. Pero sana makilala din natin siya sa kanyang revolutionary teaching. During Japanese occupation, she turned Girl Scout meetings into underground literacy classes. Yung motto niya, no, do what is right, not what is easy. It echoes Rizal's moral pedagogy of ethical education, no. She further developed civic education modules for Girl Scouts that emphasize nationalism and moral leadership. And she integrated health education into literacy programs, no? Para magkaroon tayo ng holistic learning. Here is Father Miguel Bernard, SJ. May tropa ako sa Ateneo, no? Kumusta na kaya 'yon? Ang kwento niya, muntikan daw na bumagsak siya sa Philippine Studies niya. Bakit? Kasi si Father Bernard, he demanded that they analyze folk songs as historical texts. Rizal listened to the people, he'd say. So must you. Father Miguel introduced the Philippine Studies program in the 1950s to center Filipino history and identity in education. He also championed Artes Liberales, liberal arts education, no, against purely vocational training, no. At ang sabi nila, no, the way he annotated student papers, is just like what Rizal did with Morga's successors. Ang sabi rin ni Dr. Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo, no, Bernard operationalized Rizal's vision of education as cultural preservation, no. Education as cultural preservation. Meron naman tayong mga mga backpack, no, tapos mga pluma, o yung tinatawag na quill, no. Yung backpack at yung quill, they have more in common than you think. Both are tools of revolution. Rizal used his pen, yung kanyang pluma, to ignite national consciousness. Today, our backpacks carry that same revolutionary potential, no, if we fill them with Rizal's educational vision. Now, let's explore how his ideas lives on. Efren Peña Florida, no. Siya yung a man who turned pushcarts into classrooms. Like Rizal exiled in Dapitan, Efren brought education to Cavite's alleyways, no, sa mga kalsada ng Cavite, no. His dynamic learning program proves Rizal's core belief: education must go where the people are, no. So siya yung nanalo ng CNN Hero Award, no, dahil sa kanyang Kariton education, no. Yung yung mobile classrooms ni Peña Florida, no, para itong yung pagtuturo ni Rizal sa ilalim ng mga puno ng Dapitan, no. Of course, si Efren ang ginamit niya Kariton, no. And both Rizal and Efren, they use a combination of academics with livelihood training, no. And of course, social transformation. Rizal students became reformists, while Efren scholars, most of them are teachers in their own communities, no. Now, question ko sa inyo, if Rizal would see yung Kariton ni Efren, no, would he smile? Or would Rizal demand that we do more. Itong susunod, isang example ng policy as pedagogy. Ito yung CHED Memo number 20, series of 2013, no? Now, CHED Memorandum Order number 20, series of 2013, it's also known as the General Education Curriculum, Holistic Understandings, Intellectual and Civic Competencies. It outlines the new General Education Curriculum for colleges, including 24 core courses and 9 elective subjects, with a focus on holistic and well-rounded education. I-decode natin ang kanyang Rizalian DNA. Now, Rizal would approve of the different sections of this memorandum. For example, sa section 5.3, community immersion, no? Katulad ito sa Dapitan Civic Clinic, no, na ginawa ni Rizal noon, no. Ang ating CHED Memo number 20, meron din siyang interdisciplinary approach. It mirrors Rizal's fusion of medicine, arts, and farming sa kanyang pagtuturo. And of course, meron tayong mga Filipino core courses, no? It finally answers Rizal's plea for rooted education. Kaya lang, ang problema, nakita natin sa 2022 CHED Compliance Report na only 40% of schools implement CHED Memorandum number 20 fully. Bakit? Kasi nga, just like Rizal's contemporaries, many still prefer traditional education. Dumako naman tayo sa pop culture, no? Ito yung GMA's Mara Clara at Ibarra, no? Itong series na to, ginawa niya yung hindi nagagawa ng mga ilang textbook, no? It made Rizal's characters alive. Notice 3 genius pedagogical choices that this series did, no? Number 1, yung time travel narrative, no? It makes the 19th century issues feel urgent, no? Parang pinakita niya na, yung mga problema noon, problema pa rin ngayon, no? Relatable, no? For example, si Clay, no? Yung modern nurse, no? Nakipagdebate siya kay Padre Damaso tungkol sa healthcare, no? It echoes yung Rizal struggles niya with his debates, no? His debates with other officials during his time, and it also mirrors his Paris to Dapitan letters, no? Number 2, visual decoding, no? Kung nakapansin nyo, colorful yung mga costumes, no? Astig, no? Pero kung titingnan natin, no, yung costumes sa show, no, it shows colonial oppression, no? Ang gagara ng suot ng mga Espanyol, tapos pansinin niyo yung mga damit ng ilang mga Pilipino, no, ng mga Indio, no. And of course, ano ba? Makita din natin yung yung contemporary parallels, no, doon sa mga pinatrending ng Mara Clara at Ibarra, no. Kung pansin niyo, yung si Damaso, no, pansinin niyo yung mannerism, yung behavior niya, yung the way that he was portrayed in not only the series but also sa books, no. Kung pansinin niyo yung ilang mga actions niya, parang mga politiko. Okay. Now, and of course, on other notes naman, makita din natin na yung anxiety ni Mara Clara, it mirrors modern mental health crisis sa atin na hindi na iintindihan ng karamihan yung mental health, no. It is very, very important, and yun, it's not something to be trivialized, and I believe that I think all of us should be aware, no, of mental health issues, no. Hindi ibig sabihin na sira ulo ka, no. No. It's more than that. Madami siyang madami siyang layers, no. So ganun. As the Philippines approaches the 2025 national and local elections, the educational legacy of Jose Rizal takes on renewed urgency. Rizal believed that education was not only a path to personal enlightenment but also a moral and civic responsibility. In a time of electoral decision-making, students and educators are called to practice this legacy beyond the classroom. Kung makita kasi natin sa kanyang mga essays at novels, no, Rizal warned against blind obedience, no, against corruption, against the manipulation of the masses. He envisioned a political educated citizenry, no, critical, ethical, and courageous in the face of injustice. His famous words in Il Filibusterismo still ring true. What is the use of independence if the slaves of today will be the tyrants of tomorrow? Had Rizal witnessed today's electoral landscape, he would likely advocate for three things. Number one, for voter education. No? Itong mga voter education campaigns na ito, dapat they should be rooted in historical awareness and moral discernment. Number two, accountability from both candidates and voters. No? And third one, he would likely advocate for electoral choices guided not by popularity or patronage, no? Ano yun? Dahil artista, boboto nyo? Come on! No? Sana ang iboto natin yung base sa principle, platform, and of course, integrity. Now, what could students do? No? What could students do? Hopefully, no, naka-enroll sila sa mga educational institutions that can become laboratories of civic engagement in the spirit of Rizal by promoting voter literacy programs, no, that is led by students, no. This would educate their peers and communities on electoral processes and issues, no? Yung mga nagpo-promote ng debates and forums that elevate national discourse over personality politics. And of course, a critical evaluation of campaign platforms through the lens of service, ethics, and nation building. Ang daling sabihin na tapat ako sa serbisyo. Ang daling sabihin na mahal ko kayong lahat, no? Ang daling sabihin ng mga yan eh. But how? No? Ano yung plataforma nila? Ano yung gagawin nila? No? Tutulungan ko kayong lahat. Paano po? No? Yung mga kandidato kasi, mga kaibigan, i-analyze natin. If they are running for, sabihin na natin na position ay councilors, no? Municipal councilors, ano yung mga ordinansa sa munisipyo ang balak nilang ipatupad kung sila ang nasa posisyon? Tinatanong po sana natin yon, no? Ano ba yung gagawin nila sa munisipyo na ordinansa pag sila ay nahalal? That goes with other legislative positions like yung mga board member positions, yung mga yon, no? Yung mga senators mo, congressman, no? Kasi itong mga to, sila yung gumagawa ng batas. So ang dapat na tinatanong natin sa kanila, ano yung mga ordinansa, ano yung mga batas, ano yung mga resolution na plano nilang ipaglaban kapag sila ay ating nahalal. And of course, sa mga mayor, sa mga vice mayor, for the governor position, no, we should also ask, ano yung mga priority projects nila for next year? No, for yun nga. Ano yung plano nila para sa atin, no? And of course, isipin din natin, ano yung history ng mga kandidato na ito, no? Now, students can embody Rizalian values by four things. No? Number one, they should uphold the truth in the age of disinformation. Nakita natin sa huling eleksyon, no, na maraming mga fake news. At yun pala, sa probe ngayon ng House of Representatives, nakita pala natin na yung mga ibang mga vloggers, they are funded pala by China, no? So someone paid them to create this information sa ating election, no? So students, no, we should use kung ano ang natutunan natin to help us discern ano ba yung tamang impormasyon sa hindi. Number two, students should advocate for marginalized voices, no? Sana nakapag-aral tayo. Sana gamitin natin yung talino natin, yung napag-aralan natin para naman i-champion yung mga tao na walang boses, yung mga boses na mahirap pakinggan ng mga taong nasa posisyon. Third, we should choose leaders based on moral and intellectual integrity. No, moral and intellectual integrity. No. So alam niyo na po, yung kandidato sa Pasig, no. yung yung sinabi na tungkol sa mga single parents, no. Ikaw, boboto mo 'yun. Okay ka lang. Anyway, hindi lang naman doon. Sorry po, na single out ko 'yun. Pero on our candidates, no, tingnan niyo naman yung history nila. Yung integridad, no. Pag-isipan natin, kung may nakabinbing kaso yung mga yan, kung may nakabinbing issue, iboboto niyo po talaga yan, no? And of course, students should participate in civic initiatives, no? Sa election monitoring, sa youth dialogues, no? Sa community outreach, no? Pinakita naman natin sa huling halalan na may mga estudyante, may mga kabataan na willing tumayo, no? Willing na na tumayo para sa katotohanan. Tuloy-tuloy natin 'yan, mga kaibigan. If Rizal were alive today, what kind of leader would he vote for? No, ano yung iboboto niya? And what questions would he ask the candidates? Rizal used his quill to awaken a nation. Tayo, meron tayong mga smartphones and ballots. Siguro yung question ay hindi, what would Rizal do? Gasgas na yun. No? Yung tamang question ngayon is, what will you do with Rizal's ideas? Sa mga magtuturo in the future, this one's for you. No? Paano ba natin ma-apply sa classroom yung mga philosophy ni Rizal sa education? No? We have two means. No? May dalawa tayong paraan. Yung tinatawag natin na the Rizalian Lesson Plan Framework, and of course yung assessment innovations. No? Sa Rizalian Lesson Plan Framework, sa pagkamulat, we should start with lines that will provoke thinking, no? So, yun, no? Yung mag-iisip yung mga estudyante natin. Sa pagsisiyasat naman, we should annotate textbook pages tulad ng ginawa ni Rizal, no? We should write alternatives, comments, no? Ano ba yung further pa natin na ma-share sa mga estudyante sa mga margins ng libro? No? Magdagdag kayo ng trivia sa mga video na ginagawa nyo. And of course, sa paglikha naman, you could design an assignment or project that deals with community problems. No? So, kunwari, nagtuturo ka ng gender and society, what if, yung final project mo sa mga estudyante mo is they would discuss issues of women sa mga barangay, di ba? So yun, parang application ng natutunan nila and they're connecting it to their communities, no? Guwapo yung mga teacher na nagpapagawa ng mga ganun, no? Anyway, sa assessment naman, sa assessment innovations, instead of standardized tests, no? Pwede naman tayong magkaroon ng mga oral disputes, no? Ito yung sa may na ginagawa parati sa law school, no? Sa Ateneo din, no? Para ma-challenge yung mga bata. We could also conduct project-based learning, no? Yung may project yung mga bata, yung mga students, na gagawin nila na given a certain period of time na related naman sa subject, no? Maganda yun para may application, no? Of course, maganda rin yung mga community impact portfolios, no? And of course, yung pagkakaroon natin ng multilingual reflections, no? Ang sabi ni Dr. Grace Estela Mateo sa kanyang libro na The Alternative Assessment, these methods actualize Rizal's belief that the true exam is life itself. Let's be real. Let's not sugarcoat it. Even in today's schools, abuses still happen. Some students are pressured into silence. Some are made to feel small for speaking up. Whether it's intellectual dismissal, emotional manipulation, academic discrimination, or even outright harassment, these are realities we must confront. And let's be real, many students are afraid to speak out. But silence is not safety. Rizal never stayed silent in the face of injustice. In his writings, he exposed abusive friars, corrupt officials, and educators who twisted knowledge into control. He believed that schools should be temples of truth, not prisons of fear. Education for him was sacred, but only when it dignified both the mind and the soul. So the real question for us is, what kind of schools do we want to build? As educators, learners, and community members, let's explore how we can create safe spaces for student voice, not just token consultations, but real listening. We should establish transparent reporting mechanisms for misconduct. We should train teachers in trauma-informed, compassionate pedagogy. We should develop peer support networks that foster solidarity instead of silence. Because leaving Rizal's legacy means more than quoting his writings. It means acting on them. He who does not know how to look back at where he came from will never get to his destination. Sabi yun ni Rizal, no? Let us look back bravely at the problems we inherit and move forward boldly toward a kind of learning that liberates. Yun lang. See you in the next revolution.